Hello guys, and welcome to a new Wargame video today by me, Vulcan and Val.
Hello.
Today we have another of the 3v3 Reddit tournament games. This is going to be the first game of the best of three between Warmongers and the Refugees. So on the red side today we do have Warmongers with Greyhound, Majapek and Duro SVK, and over on the blue side we have the Refugees with Austrian Oak, Future Pro and Barry Dillon. So what are your thoughts to begin with, Val?
This should be quite interesting. We've seen some very good games from the Refugees and some very good games from Warmongers as well back in the round robin stage. So I'm expecting quite a bit of excitement, and it's red v red, so I'm sure we're going to get plenty of that.
Yeah, we do have Paddy Field once again today. It seems to be one of the most popular maps that has been played so far in this tournament, and that's definitely going to bring out some interesting strategies. But what decks are we looking at today?
So we'll start off with the blue side with Austrian Oak, who has a Soviet deck, Future Pro, who has a Soviet deck as well, and Barry Dillon, who has an Eastern Bloc deck. All of which are standard. There's no mechanized or motorized versions, just straight Soviet, and Eastern Bloc. And then on the other side, with the Warmongers, we have Greyhound with a straight Sovco deck, Majapek with a straight Soviet deck, and Duro SVK with a straight Soviet deck as well.
Alright, so pretty standard stuff coming out of both sides. It's interesting to see Barry Dillon looking to go for a lot of helicopters again. The Mi-24W is coming out at the start there with a couple of DHS Mi-24Ps. I really like those helicopters. I think they're really effective. And of course he has the W3U Salamandras. I'm not too keen on those. I think they're a bit over expensive for what they achieve in the game. But what are your thoughts on some of these units?
Well, I think Barry Dillon, he's done this a few times in the tournament, so I mean, we'll have to see if the red side prepare for this, because in I think pretty much every game we've casted, Barry Dillon has tried to do some kind of opening attack, kind of. I wouldn't say cheese so much because it's not like a massive amount of stuff, but that's still a pretty significant set of helis.
Yeah, he's definitely put a lot of time and effort into these helicopter pushes, and like I say, it's not cheese because there's not like a whole deck's worth of helicopters coming out of the start and heading straight for the spawn. It's always been pretty tactical as to where he's tried to put them, and sometimes he's missed out on some opportunities that would have otherwise won them games. But over on the red side, we do see a lot of OSA AKMs coming out of the bottom side with Duro SVK. That's what he's using to support his T72BU, and it looks like he's also going to be using quite a few HGMs down there to suppress an enemy push into hotel. So I'm expecting kind of Duro to go down and contest that hotel sector. We'll probably see one player head up to India at the start, and it looks like Majapek is going to try and capture the town just above Mike and maybe get a hold on Lima.
Yeah, so the game's off, but I'd just like to say something about Redfall games in general. I'm a bit confused as to why neither of these players at the bottom, so Duro or Barry Dillon, have brought. I mean, well, Barry Dillon more so. He's brought kind of a lot of ATGM units, but if I were the red team, if I had a Soviet deck, I'd be bringing a lot of BMP3s here because they are like the kings of cheap ATGM carriers. And on a very open sector like hotel, I'm a bit surprised they haven't done that, but we'll see what their strategies are. I'm sure they've thought this through as to why they prefer the the motorized stuff.
Yeah, they've got the infantry HGMs coming in. They'll probably Conkers M's, I guess. But it's okay for Duro to do that because they do have the compound there that they can place the HGMs in. So it's a lot easier for them to use infantry HGMs as opposed to Barry Dillon, who we probably should see some of those BMP3s. But because he's got the Vidras and the Eastern Bloc coming out, obviously he can't bring BMP3s in, so
maybe he has brought those prams though in the BWP 20 or 2Ds, should I say, which do carry ATGMs.
Yeah, he still has a lot of ATGMs, but just not specifically the BMP3s, obviously. Yeah. But that should be an interesting matchup once both players sort of put out their forces. Now in the middle, we do see Greyhound trying to make some ground here. BTR 90s pushing quite hard into the blue side forces. Both the BRDM-3 and the BTR-90 holding the Spetsnaz GRU for Austrian Oak are going to get taken out, and this is going to allow a couple of Spetsnaz GRU to get in the forest at Echo, and that is not going to be very good for Austrian Oak to deal with. He's got these T-72s coming up, and they should be able to deal some damage to the Spetsnaz GRU before they get into the town, but not too much. And also the T-80UM, they're actually sniping another BTR-90.
Well, I think Austrian Oak has to be very careful here because, you know, the Great Greyhound has done a brilliant job of getting all this high quality infantry into these two forests. But that T-80UM is significantly better than any of the tanks Austrian Oak has there. He just has BVs. Which, I mean, they're not bad, but the T-80UM is definitely a class above them. B5 coming in though, so we'll see if that lands.
Yeah, there's a Tunguska there, using its infrared missiles, but isn't going to get the kill. But that B5 did land a reasonably good strike, didn't do too much damage, as far as I can see. BDV squad's taking a little bit. And in the bottom side, the HGM war did start, but a lot of these units actually starting to run out of ammunition. But it is definitely forcing Dura SVK back, and maybe it actually shouldn't be, although the helicopter's now coming in from Barry Dillon. This could be pretty risky if he hasn't spotted the OSA AKMs.
Yeah, I think it is slightly risky because he's got a K-52, which... Although actually I think the P might be able to kill that. The P's and the W's, or the P specifically, yeah, takes it out. This looks like it's actually gone very well. I expected this to not quite go quite as well, but he's taken out one of the OSAs, he's killed off the Akula, and there goes another OSA as well.
Yeah, both the OSAs went down, the KA, as you said, but also the T-72BU died. I didn't expect it to, because the MiG-27 that came in to hit it went down as the run commenced, but those helicopters really proving vital in that little push there, and I would like to kind of see them come back and flank the rest of those units, because all those units are pretty much undefended now against AA, and you can see the MiG-25 RBF coming in there to bomb the Igla squad and the Conkers M squad.
What a fantastic strike there, took out both of the squads there, and really neutralised a big threat to Barry Dillon's forces in the bottom, those Conkers and the AA.
Yeah, so the Barry Dillon coming back in now with the Mi-24Ws, and he is going to be able to do loads of damage to the APCs once he spots them in the tree line there, and taking those out is going to definitely allow a lot of this infantry in the open to advance, although it seems he's lost the majority of his carriers, the APCs and so on, BWP 2Ds and the like, have all been destroyed. So just the helicopters here now, and they are moving into range of these autocannons, and that could take some of those out. But looks like the Mi-24W there has it under control, stunning the BTR-70s as best as possible.
I bet he's feeling quite sad now because he's just out of 80 gems. That Conker's trying to get a hit onto that T-80U, but not quite. I wonder what he's going to do with them now, because they're not really that useful. They've run out of 80 gems, so now they just have cannons and some rocket pods left. I honestly, I'd prefer to see him try and recover those, but it looks like he's just going to go for a kamikaze run onto some of the CVs in the back line.
Yeah, it seems that he's just going for CV sniping now. Definitely would have preferred to see him take those back to an FOB and get them extra missiles to use later on in the game, but that UAZ, it might get spotted by this Mi-24W. Currently, the blue team is actually +3 ahead in this game, and the UAZ has been found in Juliet. Will the Su-27S save the day? It will for now, but surely another Mi-24 is going to head in that direction.
I don't know if Barry Dillon wasn't paying attention there, because it looks like he's sending the P back, but it might be a little too late now. That PU coming in for the attack run.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if the Salamandra goes down, because that doesn't have a cannon to kill the UAZ, but if this Mi-24P gets close enough, that's definitely going to get the kill. And it looks like that is going to be the case as soon as that gets on target. But in the meanwhile, at Hotel, we have seen Barry Dillon's infantry being torn apart by a fresh push from Greyhound and Duro. Greyhound's own Mi-24K coming in there, using a lot of those 80mm rockets to absolutely destroy the Behotesmek squads in the open. But now Barry Dillon coming up with his own reinforcements, the BWP-2Ds, holding more Behotesmek to reinforce. Up in the top side at Bravo, it seems that things are pretty standard up here. A stalemate between India and Bravo, but still a lot of contention around Echo and Delta. It seems Greyhound's trying to make some ground up there with the T-80UM and the T-80 and also the Spetsnaz crew squads he had, but they're slowly sort of being picked off, and both of the T-80s going down there to the MiG-27, which also picks off an Su-122.
That's such a shame as well, because he'd done such a good job of pushing into this forest, but now, you know, a small lapse of attention, and you know, this is what happens really. If you look back over to the left side of Mike near the red team's top spawn, there's a Tunguska M and a Shilka just sitting there.
Yep.
You know, not doing anything, and you have to think that maybe if they were brought up, they might have been at least able to trade that. I don't think they actually killed the MiG-27, did they?
No, it managed to get away from the Su-27S, and the Tunguska here might shoot down the B5. No, the B5 just got out in time, but that did quite a lot of damage to Future Pro's troops in that forest. Fortunately, the majority of them had already moved on, and his tanks alongside these VDV are probably going to make short work of the BTR-90s at closer range. And
yeah,
now
I think
things have started to turn in the opposite direction up there.
Yeah, I think it's just as you said. Like it seemed like Greyhound and Machapek were doing a good job of pushing through, but you know that MiG-27 strike with no AA cover really just stopped them dead in their tracks. And Future Pro and Austrian Oak have a decent force here, and I think they'll be able to push all the way through to Lima if they take the initiative here.
Yeah, I think what's really affecting the red side at the moment is that they lost out on the +2 from Juliet for a while, and now the blue side has this 157 conquest lead, as well as the momentum in the middle, and this could really prove vital for the blue side to win. At the moment, we can see the T-70 or T-64 BV picking off one of those BTR ATAs while the Yeogokdaes was still inside. So that's done a lot of damage to an infantry squad there. The second BTR 80 just dropped out its troops in time.
Yeah, still though, Machapek hasn't moved those air units forward. Maybe he forgot about them, but the Austrian are doing a good job pushing forward here. This Su-24 is deterring the gun on the Tunguska, so at least it looks like this MiG-27, or 29, sorry, will get out alive.
Yeah, the MiG-29S managing to get away. The Tunguska missing its second infrared shot, so that's unfortunate. That Su-24 can't do anything against the Tunguska while the radar gun is turned off. Su-27PU hanging about. That's definitely going to deter any blue side airstrikes for now. Also an Su-27S was hanging about. But another MiG-29 coming in, and that's probably going to try and get a bombing strike onto this VDV, pushing into Lima, and if that lands, then the VDV are most certainly dead. Oh, just about missed. So that's going to be crazy, because those VDV now are probably going to put up a good fight against the Yeogokdae, and this Tunguska M should be able to shoot down the Mi-24. Yes, it will. But will the Mi-24 crash into the troops? No, not quite.
That'd be awkward. The Mi-24 more accurate than the bombing strike.
Yeah.
But yeah, those VDV just missed by a pixel there, so very lucky to save those and keep them alive. The red side has pushed infantry into the bottom side of Echo, so that will take some clearing out. But because Barry Dillon's and Future Pro as well has brought in a B1 down on the bottom side, because they're keeping up quite a decent bit of pressure down here, it's not really allowing them to use those resources to push into Echo because they need to recapture Lima.
Yeah, we did see an Su-27PU go down on the blue side. That's unfortunate for them, but they managed to kill a MiG-27 before it killed off one of their tanks, I think. So managed to keep their ground forces alive, but lost that very valuable air superiority fighter.
Yeah, B5 coming into the middle with some Su-24 support and takes down an AA piece as well. So we'll have to see if this B5 hits anything now. It's free to go.
Oh, looks like it's bombing directly on top of the command unit. And I don't think the command unit's going to have time to get away. Oh, it might just about, yep. But the MiG-29S coming in as well with another strike. And that's also not going to kill the UAZ in Delta. That's pretty huge. Because if they'd knocked out that one in Delta, then that would have put them even on incoming conquest points. MiG-27 also going down on the blue side. That's unfortunate. It looks like that was coming in for a strike onto the T-80U that's hanging around in the tree line on the top of Hotel.
Yeah, it seems to have gotten at least one missile off, but it wasn't quite enough to finish off the T-80U. The blue side, I'd say, still in control of the Hotel sector, though. It's be very difficult for the red team to push them out, especially seeming as they've invested quite a bit in this AA down in the bottom side as well. I've also noticed the red side seems to have invested significantly more in aircraft than the blue side. So that again might be another reason as to why the blue side seems to have much more ground superiority in the places they're actually fighting.
Yeah, Barry Dillon has done a great job of capturing this Hotel sector. He's using a T-72 command tank at the bottom side of Hotel on the lower ground. This sort of beach area is slightly lower than the standard ground, so that does help hide that unit, and also it being a command tank makes it a lot more resilient to bombing strikes, so it's not going to get taken out, especially like you say with a lot of the AA hanging about. Although not specifically like radar AA, it's more just these LSTRs with the infrared, and there isn't actually that much radar AA at the bottom.
Yeah, they just have that one Su-27 S at the back, just circling around, trying to keep the air clear for the blue team. But this is just a great knowledge of the vision control in this game, because Barry Dillon and Future Pro, wherever his one tank has gone down there. They know exactly that because of the position their troops are in and the recon is in, there's no way the enemy team's recon can see that far into that side of Hotel. That's if the enemy team had any recon in a better position the bot side. So we'll have to see what the red team does. The blue team resecured Echo, so a very good job by them and their Spetsnaz and VDV. And I think could probably push all the way through into Lima. There's really not that much there.
Yeah, they did a great job finally fully securing Echo. I think they realised that there was only the 2 Wargame squads in that town, and they used the Spetsnaz along with some tank support to take those out pretty easily. And those Spetsnaz just great in that situation when there's no other fire support to worry about. Like Spetsnaz versus infantry in general are always going to win, and those Spetsnaz moving forwards now, hopefully, they should catch out these Wargames in the open.
Yeah, Austrian Oak has some T-72s back in Delta that I'd like to see moved forward, but really what I'd like to see from the blue team here is a Buratino, because that would make taking Lima so easy. They would have pretty much no trouble, I think. Although a B5 coming in, so that might do quite a bit of damage to this infantry.
Yeah, it looks like it's going for a bomb onto the town, trying to kill off these Spetsnaz, but the Spetsnaz trying to run away best they can. One of the squads goes down, the other one doesn't take any damage, and will continue to run towards the forest by the looks of things, unless he's going to send that back. But yeah, I think you're right there with the Buratino. If you fire a Buratino onto this forest in Lima, that's definitely going to do a lot of damage, and it's basically the only place in Lima where you can sit a defensive force that's hidden. So it's very likely that there are going to be troops there. The Su-27PU coming in and actually shooting down an Su-24M. So that was a nice kill for the red side, stopping that bomber from being effective.
Well, this MiG-27 coming in, just taking out the command going into Lima. It just shows that, when you don't control, or you don't have enough forces to pressure the enemy back from there, if the enemy gets recon into that position like they've done with the MI2, no CV is safe, nothing is safe moving down that road.
Yeah, Barry Dillon trying to skirmish at the bottom side at the moment with HGMs from the BWP-2Ds and the Prams, but the T-72BU with that superior HGM is just picking off these units one by one, and I don't think this T-72M2 Wilk is really going to stand up to the BU either, so he's going to have to be careful that that BU doesn't take control of this skirmish. Also the T-80 there, that Duro has in that tree line has run out of fuel. Once that gets refueled, that can also help out.
That's if it doesn't get taken out by that MiG-27 though, which it does, which is a very good kill for the blue team. Although the red team get their own kill onto that. Oh no, actually the Wilk survived. I think, yeah, it did. The Wilk survived and the MiG-27 evac'd.
Yeah, lots of kills there for the aircraft. And a lot of aircraft going down as well, because a Nuwa and a Book were sitting at the backside of a hotel. They both died to the Su-24, but the Su-24 got shot down as well. So trades on both sides. I think with the red side aircraft going down, possibly the blue side came out on top with that. They're also bringing up a replacement Nuwa now. Bombing strike onto the T-72, and that's exactly what we were talking about. Resilient bomber, or resilient command unit, is not going to get damaged too badly by that bombing strike.
Yeah, it's we've seen the T-72 command variants in previous games. The one that comes to mind is the 38 parallel one with, was it ANZ versus the Refugees, I believe?
Yeah, Faust was holding the bomb side.
Yeah, where you had those T-72Ks, and you know, they're just they're such a difficult unit to fight against, because you need clusters or ATGMs to actually take them out. They're very resilient against kind of blind bombing strikes, or even informed bombing strikes.
Yeah, and also a lot of decks don't use cluster bombers. Like, it's pretty rare, because most of the time you're focusing on heavy bombers and air superiority fighters, so you don't see the cluster munitions very often, unless it's coming out of like artillery pieces like Atacams or like Smirches and stuff like that. But the Buratino coming out of the red side now, Machapek doing his best to flame the town at the bottom side of Echo, so that his Yokokde can get a foothold once again there, because they were being harassed quite heavily.
No, an excellent job by that Buratino. I mean, we mentioned that we'd like to see a Buratino from the blue side, but you know, a Buratino from the red side will help that push immensely. Although I do have to question if putting all the 4-stack of reduced health Yokokdes into one sector is probably going to be a bad idea.
Yeah, the MI8 MTV already taking advantage of that, dropping off some Gornostrelki there that should be able to pick off any units that move into range. Although the MI8 MTV exposing itself to the Conquer's M for a little while, and by taking off also revealing itself to the Strela. So couldn't win either way, but the Strela is going to die, and that wasn't particularly worth the MI8 kill. Now in the bottom side, the MI6 that was getting artied by the Nona from Duro, and I'm glad to see Duro actually investing in this mortar support. It's something that I think was lacking in the best of 3 between ANZ and Cerner Buxner, and it's good to see that Duro has picked up one of those mortars, because it's definitely going to help him harass the T-72 out of Hotel, and a MiG-27 going down there that was actually trying to kill that T-72, but it was too hard to target because it's in such a weird position at the moment in terms of line of sight.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised it didn't go down, because you know, at least one of those missiles hit, I think. So very, very lucky for that T-72. It looks like with the Akula there as well, or the K-52 should I say, not specifically the Akula. Those LSTR are in view, so he has to be careful of where he's moving his things, and I think that's why he's retreating this T-72 for the moment.
Yeah, we do see the Su-25K coming in, and that's definitely going to get the kill there. Although it might go down to all of this, and yeah, the Nuwa there. Is that going to kill this Su-24? No, but the Su-24 did take out an Osa.
No, it goes down.
Yeah, the Su-24 being taken out there by the last shot of the Nuwa. So that's now going to get reloaded by the MI6. I'm glad to see that MI6 staying alive. Definitely going to be useful to reload that new one that does use a lot of supply. And we can see now in Echo, these Eurococtes have overextended. He definitely needs to retreat those before they die. Otherwise he's losing a lot of value for pretty much nothing. The Spetsnaz there, as soon as they start firing their napalm, they should kill off a couple squads, but they're currently not using their napalm for whatever reason.
At this point I don't think they even need to. That's 120 points are just completely gone. And honestly they didn't really achieve that much in terms of killing the enemy's units either, I think.
Yeah, so speaking of the Buratino, the blue side actually opting for using smirches instead at the moment, and we can see a smirch strike coming into Mike at the moment, I guess trying to hit a command unit or maybe the enemy Buratino there of Majapek. But another smirch strike came into Lima as well, didn't really hit much unfortunately, and it was a prerequisite for this push by the looks of things. And now the Mostrelki trying to push across the open, not really going to get very far. These SU-122s with the 5 HE power, also the Mi-24 there, definitely going to clean those up very easily.
Yeah, I've got a question if you need 2 MiG-29Ss to kill those units, but they were brought in anyway. Now we'll have to see if the Austrian line of tanks can hold effectively, which I think they will do, especially with this Tunguska picking up the enemy Mi-24.
Yeah, well, it seems that Majapek is kind of trying to counter push, but maybe just trying to get his SU-122s into cover really. The T-64 BVs though having a field day with these much lighter armoured tanks to kill.
Yeah, I mean, in Wargame you've just got to be careful with your tanks because it really is a food chain. Like if you run up against anything that's higher up in the food chain, they'll just, you know, eat you alive basically. A nice smirch strike coming in there, that might take out one of those BVs. But it does.
Yeah, does take out the T-64 BV. The Mi-28 actually nearly went down to the Tunguska M. And this T-80's got to be careful that it doesn't keep revealing itself to this Mi-28, else those HGMs are definitely going to be able to take that out. But T-80 managing to stay alive on 1 health after that smirch barrage. And down at the bottom side, we do see a Moderna coming in from Barry Dillon.
Yeah, and the T-80U as well. They've decided to reinforce us with some very heavy tanks, but the enemy team, the red team, has quite a lot of very good ATGMs on the field in the bottom side. So that Moderna already has to retreat. It's been taken down to 3 HP.
Yeah, so the skirmish happening in the middle. Now it looks like all attention is on the bottom side, with Barry Dillon being pressured by Duro SVK. MiG-27 coming in there is going to take out 1 unit with a ASM missile, but the majority of the heavy tanks are still alive. Looks like the Moderna has gone down as well in this skirmish, but with a T-80U still on the field, still plenty of firepower to work with. Just got to be careful of these approaching helicopters, and also still two T-72BUs on the red side.
They do have 2, although one of them is so badly damaged it only has 1 HP left. I still think that just the 1 BU and the T-80U should be enough though. That unless the blue side gets some reinforcements in, I think they'll lose control of Hotel here.
Yeah, the Strop doing an amazing job of shooting down both of these helicopters though. So that's going to remove that threat. Loving the use of this Nona fire to try and stun these tanks as the T-72BU advances. And it seems full retreat now for Barry Dillon, as he realises he has lost the sector and does not want to lose any more tanks to this push.
I think that's a good call from Future Pro and Barry Dillon there, because staying around I think would have just lost them the tanks for probably not much gain. Like I was saying just a few minutes ago about the tier list of tanks, at the range that T-80U and BU are fighting, the BU will always win, because both of them had used up their missiles and were on full health. The BU would just destroy it. So unfortunately for the blue side, they've lost control of Hotel. There's SU-25K coming in though, so we'll see if that can take out the BU.
Looks like it actually missed its ASM missile, but the MiG-25 RBF might be able to clean up. No, definitely not. going to miss the bombing strike, and also the bombs wouldn't have done much damage to the T-72BU anyway. T-80 UK is moved into hotel in order to capture that, so a +1 coming in now for the red side, trying to make up some points, because currently the blue side is on 445 points, which is huge. Only 55 points away from victory, but they have a long way to go if they want to make that happen.
Yeah, the red team has to be very careful, because if they lose hotel for even like a minute or two, I don't think they'll have enough time to actually win on points. So, because the blue team has amassed such a good lead from their early victories.
Yeah, the smirch coming in from the red side now onto Barry Dillon's forces at the bottom side of the map. The Moderna there took a hit, took 3 damage. Not anything destroyed, but was definitely a nicely placed smirch barrage. Now things seem to have slowed down a lot, the stalemate continuing between India and Bravo and Lima and Echo, but more forces on the blue side in the centre at the moment, and that could be a push that we might see later on in this game.
Again, I really want to see a Buratino into Lima, because I think the blue team can capture that so easily with the sheer amount of tanks and infantry they have in the Echo to Bravo forest area.
Yep, definitely. Although they do have a lot of decent fire support, they do have 4 T-72As. It looks like they're planning to go for the T-72 with infantry push. The MT LBVs there probably have the most Strelky in them. But then again, if you were going to go for this kind of push, surely you'd want to invest in like even smoke instead of like a Buratino, for example. We do have the Podnos now in the back there. They are the mortars. Let's see if they're firing smoke, because if they are, then that could be handy, although it looks like it is just going to be HG onto almost directly where the UAZ of Duro is. That's very interesting. It's definitely going to force Duro to move that UAZ forwards a little to avoid that strike.
I really like what they're doing now with this the Smirch. They're trying to force that T-80 and any kind of armoured units back from that tree line just to the top of Lima. Oh my god, that goes down to the artillery as well. Those mortars doing a brilliant job.
Yeah, the Podnos continuous barrage onto that UAZ did eventually mean it went down. Smirch did destroy some supply trucks, and that caused a nice big explosion which stunned the Tunguska, but Tunguska not actually taking any damage from the Smirch barrage or the explosions from that supply truck chain, and the Buratino also getting out perfectly fine. So they've got to be really careful about that, because if the blue side pushes into Lima, then that Buratino is probably most definitely going to fire. MiG-27 coming in there, taking out a T-72. Oh, OBR, and the MiG-27 hero shot into the Buratino does manage to take that out. Will the MiG-25 BM go down? No, it will not. And that's going to leave a lot of those infantry squads in disarray, as they took loads of damage from that strike.
This is exactly what we were talking about. This is what I really wanted to see, because now this gives the blue side just such a good opportunity to push into Lima, and if they play their cards right, I think they can actually take this and capture it.
Yeah, so the Buratino is going to come out and definitely stun, or at least panic, a lot of that infantry. Now the push is coming in, but Greyhound has brought up a reinforcing Buratino that is going to stop that push in its tracks. We also see helicopters, the Mi-24Ps coming out, and it looks like those are going to try and stop a lot of this push as well with those HGMs. We also have the flanking HGMs of the Conkers M in the bottom side of Lima. That's going to force Austrian Oak to sort of fight into a choke almost, because he won't be able to expand his tanks into a nice long line to hit more effectively. And the bombing strike coming out of the red side is not going to do too much damage onto the advancing troops. Seem to hit the tree line where they all came from, but those Mi-24Ps, oh my god, they're doing so much damage without the close range anti-air support, although the Tunguska is going to take down one of them.
Yeah, I think we've seen a really good counter push because I was almost certain that the blue team would be able to take Lima once I saw that red team Buratino go down, but luckily Greyhound must be a prophet because he was bringing one in right as that was happening.
Yeah, it was definitely a good choice. I think as soon as the last one died or was close to dying, that they brought up another one just in case. And also just Greyhound using these MI24Ps, I think that was another great choice. It's a great reactionary unit to push back infantry, forcing itself onto your lines. And now these Mostrelki are just going to be pinned down and finished off by the rocket pods of this Mi-24 as long as it doesn't go down to the Tunguskaram.
Yeah, they have to be careful of that Tunguskaram still, even though it is very far back. But at the same time, it just goes to show that if you lack anything in your push, you know, even if you just have one Strela 10M on that bottom side of Echo, that's never going to be enough if the enemy does decide to try and hard counter you with a lot of MI24Ps. So always something to keep in mind whenever you are doing a big push is that you can have the most amazing setup in the world. That was a great Buratino strike, but at the end of the day, your troops are still out in the open and pretty vulnerable.
Yeah, I think they possibly should have used those mortars to provide smoke, but the mortars actually went down in the meantime to the Smirch barrage, and another helicopter falling to the Tunguska. That Tunguska has done so much work throughout this game thus far, and either way, I still think the Mi-24Ps did their job. The rocket pods definitely destroyed those Mostrelki very quickly.
Yeah, it was a good decision to bring them in. That Tunguska though has been a real hero on the blue side. He must have paid for himself about 5 or 6 times over so far with the amount of kills he's got. But yeah, I mean, in this situation, using smoke like you were suggesting, it can work. I can understand why they might not want to, because you lose the advantage of your fire support, but the second the enemy Buratino came down, I think they should have just tried and called off the push and waited until it ran out, basically.
Yeah, the Su-24 going down, which did take out a T-72BU in Hotel. It seems there's been a lot of skirmishing going on between HGM units from Hotel to Echo, and this Moderna was trying to take on that T-72BU but did take a stabilization malfunction, so it looks like they're going to retreat that for now. And this T-80 getting too close for comfort there, only 1 health left on that.
That is very lucky for that T-80, but the red team does have a very significant armoured force down in this bottom side, just north of Hotel. They also have some very, very heavy units pushing up into the top side of Echo, so it looks like the red team has decided that it's time to show the blue team how it's done, hopefully, for them, and they're looking to go all the way into this forest.
Yeah, so this time around we're going to see BTR 90s with VDV 90 pushing in to Echo. A Smirch barrage leading this attack, trying to get some damage onto the armoured units. That T-80 is going to take 1 hit from the Smirch, but not enough to stop the T-80 from killing both of the APCs approaching. T-72BU is trying its best to take out this T-72A before it gets another shot off, but those T-72s definitely did a lot of damage to the BU, and this T-64BV has the potential to come in and finish that T-72BU off.
Well, that T-72A got a side shot into another T-80U earlier, just before that engagement, and actually managed to kill the T-80U. So this push could very quickly get surrounded and just taken out by this very formidable armoured force future for an Osprey no count.
Yeah, Metropec is probably going to lose that T-72BU, I would expect, and a lot of these infantry are just being surrounded and destroyed. VDV 90s, yeah, they got into the forest, but there isn't really enough of them to make a difference at this point. And the T-72A is such a resilient unit for its cost, and there you see the T-72BU finally going down, and it looks like the grenade launcher of the BTR 90 and the Spetsnaz GRU are going to finish off the VDV 90 squad. MTV used nicely to kill off a Spetsnaz GRU of the blue side though, and the UAZ of Austrian Oak and Delta has been spotted whilst this push was going on.
Yeah, this is a massive, massive hook coming round down on the bottom side of Echo. They've got a BU, a T8TU, Tunguska, all coming around this bottom side, and that Moderna needs to get out of there because it's not going to stand up against that BU and the... Actually, never mind, that T8TU has no ammunition left in its main gun or missiles.
Yeah, T-72 going down to the MiG-27, and meanwhile in the top side we did see 4 or 5 helicopters go down to a Tunguska M and Strela 10M that were trying to get round to Alpha, so they prevented that Striker MiG-25 BM coming in to bomb up in Alpha now. But yeah, down in Echo, in the meanwhile, we do see this push coming up still, and these Schutzen probably going to get absolutely destroyed in the open. The UAZ was taken out in Delta as well, so now a +2 conquest point income for the red side.
I don't think this will be enough, unfortunately, for the red team, though. I think that especially because the blue team will probably be, yeah, they're bringing a helicopter-borne CV right now for Delta. A +1 lead will not win them this game in 3 minutes, unfortunately.
Yeah, there is only 3 minutes left on the clock right now, so it's really pressure on for the red side to make something happen. But at the same time, we see the Buratino strike coming into Lima, and blue actually pushing onto the red side in Lima. So it's going to be very hard for the red side to make ground, especially with this Su-27M coming in, the TV guidance missiles. They're both missing, I think, and we do see the 2 T-72M2 Wilkes coming in. They're taking the fight to the T-72 OBR, and the Su-27M is going to finish that off.
This drop 2 now coming just into range to kill that enemy helicopter, the red team helicopter. And yeah, we actually have 2 heli CVs coming in, so maybe a bit of miscommunication there on the part of Barry and Austrian Oak. Oh no, there's three heli CVs coming into Delta.
I don't think that's such a bad thing. Like, if they're trying to prevent the red side from winning the game by capturing Delta or Echo, then having like double CV in both Echo and Delta right now is actually a really good idea, just so that they can't be like sniped out at the end of this game. But that's drop 2 doing a lot of damage. Did take out an Mi-24V and another Mi-24 after that. We do see these T-72s making ground now, especially with the Su-27M killing off the tank. And we also see the Spetsnaz GRU and the VDV pushing on to the command infantry in Lima. So that's going to put the red side down to +1 with 1 minute and 15 seconds left to go. And I really can't see anything coming of this right now. Looks like this extra CV in Echo was actually a good idea, since their last one did get destroyed.
Yeah, it's definitely worked out for them. I was questioning that, then I thought they were putting all 3 of them in Delta. But yeah, putting one over to Echo, a nice... well, the points are 0-0. There's no way for the red team to win now. So, yeah, quite a... It seemed to be quite a back and forth game, but I think the blue side, just from the early advantages they're getting, it was unrecoverable for the red team, really.
Yeah, they had 445 points for a lot of the game. And you can see even in the top side here, Future Pro pushing up the T-80s into India. They just overall right now on the map have such an advantage. And even if this game were to continue, there would be no way now for the red team to really pull this back. They just don't have enough forces on the field, and it seems like they pretty much given up themselves with 5 seconds left to go. Not too much more to say, as we do come to the end of the match. So there we have it, 40 minutes later, and it looks like the refugees are going to take the first game off Warmongers in what was supposed to be a best of 3. But I can tell you guys that unfortunately there are no more games, so this does mean that the refugees will move on in the winners bracket, and unfortunately Warmongers actually dropped out the tournament after this game, so unfortunately they left, and that means that they're going to automatically lose the rest of their games in the tournament. But yeah, I think that was a really awesome sort of game. It was a bit back and forth to begin with, but I don't know, a lot of it seemed a bit chaotic. in my mind. What do you think?
I think so, and I think the players must have found it chaotic because I saw quite a few occasions where players had just left units somewhere, kind of in the backfield, and forgotten to move them later on. There was that much action going on. Like we pointed out, Machapek had a Shilka and a Tunguska M that was sitting on their side of the spawn river, over near their top spawn, for about 15 minutes, just doing absolutely nothing, and that's like 130 points just completely wasted. If you're not going to use your units, there's no point bringing them to begin with, really.
Yeah, and we can also actually see the kills here. If we look at those, we can see that the blue side was about 2,000 kills ahead of the red side. So that's the refugees over Warmongers. And Oceanoke doing a fine job with 5,345 kills to 3,270 losses. That's a very good KD in such a competitive game. But what we saw in over the map was it tended to be very like sort of one-dimensional. The attacks were actually pretty predictable from both sides, and I think that's why they didn't really make much ground. Both sides sort of countering each other's pushes when they came quite effectively, and so we didn't really see much land going backwards and forwards. But yeah, it's just all over the map. It was just like, oh, we're going to attack in the middle. Okay, now we're going to attack in the bottom side. And by doing it like one at a time rather than like all at once, or by putting pressure on different parts of the map at the same time, it was just sort of predictable for both sides to work out where the pushes were coming from, especially with like the adequate recon that both sides had throughout the game.
I think so, and I also think the refugees, Austin Future and Barry Dillon, they didn't need to be that aggressive this game because they got a 445 point lead, from the early battles that they won. So they could kind of afford to sit back a bit, like they did really. But the red team, they had skirmishes back and forth. Don't get me wrong, they did do quite a lot of kind of skirmishes and small pushes, but we only really saw two big pushes from the red team, and that was their one big push into Hotel, which I believe used all three players' units. And then when they counter-pushed after the blue side push into Lima, the middle sector for the red team. So, it was a game where there were some exciting and very kind of aggressive pushes, but none of them were sufficiently big, apart from those two that I just mentioned, and honestly, not much really happened. Lots of back and forth units, but at the end of the day, apart from that big push in Hotel and the two pushes near the end at Lima, nothing really, no aggressive big pushes really happened.
Yeah, well, I just don't think that either side, after their pushes were sort of countered, had the ability to like follow through with those pushes, and that's why they just sort of stunted and died. Also, a lot of the most valuable units were being correctly targeted by both sides. So the MiG-27s were pulling off nice kills onto T-72BUs, and also the Su-27M even being used by the blue side. So that was nice to see that they were actually getting their priorities right in that sense, but it just meant that literally not much happened in terms of trading of territory. But anyway, any last thoughts?
Just I think it's a bit sad that we don't have a game 2 and potentially a game 3, but this is what we've been left with, and it's been a pleasure to cast.
Yeah, actually, that's a very good point. It was, a nice long game for you guys, so hopefully you enjoyed that. It is unfortunate that we're not going to see another couple games, but we are going to leave it with the refugees moving on in the winners bracket. So thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.
Bye.